Hi everyone, I'm Jo and welcome to another tutorial today. I don't normally like to date things so that when you look at my YouTube tutorials you could make them at any stage, but we are going through a bit of a weird time at the moment and tough time for a lot of people. So today's tutorial, as well as hoping that you are all well while you are watching this, is going to be my first little tutorial on rainbow jewellery. Now, rainbows can motivate us to keep going through dark times. They're a symbol of good luck, providing us with hope and motivation, and are thought to bring good fortune. So at this time, right now in the world, we all have one enemy, and I have a rainbow in my window, and I'm going to show you how to make this little cuff bracelet, and I'm calling it Rainbow Posies. So it's a cuff and then it's embellished with little flowers and the colours of the rainbow. So I hope you join me for this and have fun making it. As usual, we'll start by looking at what we might need. Now, this is a great little project to use up leftover seed beads that you've got in your tubes. What I've got is if we start on the right, I've got my main colour, and that is my colour that I use to bead the cuff. Then I've got 8 different colours that I've chosen to use as colours for the rainbow. You can use any of your colours. If you'd like me to list these, I will. 8 just worked out very well for my length of cuff. You might choose to only use 5 colours. So you need a main colour, and then you need a variety of other size 8s. These are all size 8 seed beads, by the way, even the main one. So every single one of them is a size 8. You'll need some fire line or some wildfire. I've got my thread zapper. You'll need a needle. I'm using a size 10, and you'll need a clasp. I've used one of these magnetic sliding clasps, so they just go together like so. Very simple to use, and it meant that it doesn't take up too much space. Often when we add in a toggle, it takes up about an inch of your beadwork. This takes up very, very little. So a main colour for your cuff, and then a variety of colours for your little posies, all in size 8. As I mentioned, we're going to start by beading the cuff, as you see on the back there, and it's using peyote stitch, but 2-drop even count peyote stitch. Now I have another demo where I went into 2-drop peyote in a lot more detail. I will whiz through it this time, but if you want to look at it in more detail, I'll pop the link to the demo below. And I'm using silver lined crystal AB because they have a bit of a rainbow tint to them in the sunshine, that AB coating. And I've got one little lonely bead on the end here which I'm going to use as a stopper bead. And you want to thread on as much thread as you are comfortable working with, because you will be adding in thread as you go, and you don't want to get tangled up in a knot, so just enough that you're comfortable working with. And we're going to start by adding in our stopper bead. So we pass the needle through the bead, move the bead down towards the end of our thread. I'm leaving about a 20 centimeter tail because I will use that to add on one end of my clasp. Pass the needle back through the stopper bead, and it forms a little bit of thread around the outside there that you can see, but it means nothing's going to fall off the end. Now when you're doing 2-drop even count peyote, you have got to thread on an even number of beads for your first row. Not only must it be an even number because it's 2-drop, it needs to be a multiple of 4. So you will add in 4 beads, 8 beads, 12 beads, 16 beads, 20 beads, however many for the width of your cuff. I'm going to pick up 12. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And I'm going to let those drop down to my stopper bead. And I'm ready to turn and bead back in the direction of where I'm sitting. 2 drop, you pick up 2 beads at a time. You skip over the top 2 and you pass the needle through the next 2. As I said, if you want to practice this, I have a demo purely on 2 drop peyote, which I'll pop in the comments, the link in the comments. Pick up another 2, skip over 2 and pass through the next 2. It beads up a lot quicker than ordinary peyote, especially if you're wanting to do something like a cuff and then just embellish it. Pick up another 2, skip over 2 and pass through the 2 that are at the bottom, not going through your stopper bead. Let me just get that tail out the way. Not sitting properly, there we go. So now I'm ready to turn and bead away from me. And already, as in peyote, we talk about the sticky outy beads, you can see the pairs of sticky outy beads there. So it's very easy now. We're going to be picking up 2, beading away from me, going through the 2 that are sticking out. Pull my thread through and my beads have got a little bit loose, so I'm just pulling it in to make it a bit tight. Pick up 2, skip over 2 and pass the needle through 2. Pick up 2, skip over 2 and pass the needle through 2, and you're ready to turn and bead back towards yourself. Picking up 2, skipping 2 and passing through 2. So I'm going to carry on with my 2 drop peyote. I'm not going to bead an entire bracelet because I just want to show you the different elements to this project. So this is the first element, using your 2 drop peyote to form the base of your cuff. I've done a tiny little patch of my 2 drop peyote, but it's enough for me to show you the second element, which is how to make these little posies and attach them onto your cuff. We're going to be using exactly the same piece of thread, so no need to end off the thread. We're going to make them as we're attaching them. My advice to you is to line up your colours that you're using in a little row above the top, and then you can just move from one to the other. That's only if you want it a bit uniform, as I've done mine. So I've gone red, orange, red, orange, red, orange. You could make yours all higgledy-piggledy and even have them attached at different places. They don't need to look as uniform as mine do. So I've just finished. Let me move this one out the way. Move this down a bit. I've just finished my 2 drop peyote, so that's this part of the cuff, and we're going to just pretend that I have done a full length. I'm now going to bead, take my needle through the beads until I'm in a place that I would like to attach my first little posy. And I'm going to come down to this second row where my needle's going through there. So there's the top row of 2. I'm in the second row of 2. And as I said, we make the posies and attach them as we go. So I'm now going to pick up 5 of my red size 8s, and I'm going to let them drop down to the bottom there, and I'm going to hold them in place. So I do apologize, my fingers are in the way a little. I'm going to pass the needle back through all 5 of those beads. And I'm just going to hold them in place there, because that way they'll be closest to the cuff and I won't have to manipulate them and wriggle them down too much. So if I pull my thread in now, you can see it starts to make a little ring. And in order to close that ring, I'm going to pass the needle back through the very first red size 8 that I picked up. So this is now closed, my little ring. The next job is to pick up another red, thread is exiting from one and pass through the very next size 8 seed bead. So you get a little point, and I'm going to keep turning this round as I go. So I'm going to pick up another one and fill in the gap between the next 2 8s. So your thread comes out of 1 8, you pick up another 8 and pass your needle through the next 8. And do that the whole way around, so you will have picked up an extra 5 size 8s to fill in the gaps between the original 5 size 8s. So I'm now putting my last one in, and I'm just going through that original ring of size 8s, and when I pull it tight, if I pop it down, you can see I've got a little posy-like frame, but I need to fill in the middle. So all I'm going to do is take my needle under the posy, not through any of the cuff, under the posy and up through the center of my posy. Pick up one more size 8 and go back down through the center of my posy. And when I pull that through, you will see how that last one I picked up just sits in the center there and completes my little flower. Now, it's only attached at the bottom. Remember, I came through 2 of my size 8s in the second row, so I'm going to go back through those 2, but from the top to the bottom again, and that'll give it an anchor point. So through those 2, and when I pull my thread through, it pulls my little posy down onto my cuff. It's time to do the next one, so I'm going to come through the beads, pass the needle through the beads, because I don't want any thread showing, and I'm just coming through 2 at a time, which means I get there quicker as well. And I'm going to come down to this one here. So I'm now in the row of 2, that's second from the bottom. There's my bottom row of 2, and that's my second from the bottom. So I'm ready to make my next little posy. Pick up 5 of my next color, let them drop down, and you want to pass the needle back through all 5. Oops, I've got an escapee. Back through all 5. Of those 8s. I'm going to hold it in place as I pull my needle through. Just keeps them close. And you can see it's already pulling into a little ring, but remember I need to pass through the very first one I picked up for the posy just to complete that ring. Time to fill in the gaps. So I'm going to pick up 1 8 and go through the next 8. Pick up an 8 and pass the needle through the next one. And again, I'm going to turn my work round as I'm working, just so that I get them in the right place. It's just easier to pass the needle through while I show you on camera. Pass the needle through. I've got 2 more. The little tail is getting in the way. Through that one. And 1 more, so I've picked up 5 extra orange seed beads to complete my little posy. And I've still got to go through the middle. So that's my last one. Be careful not to hook your thread around any of your previous beads. So there's my little orange posy. I come up through the center of it, pick up 1 more and back down through the center of my posy, and I need to attach it once more. So if I lift it up, you can see where it's attached. I'm going to go back through those 2 from the top to the bottom, and it just pulls my little posy into place. And so you continue adding your little posies onto your cuff. So I'm again just moving through the beads, and I'm moving into a position where I want to add my next one. Now I chose to do 2, 1 top, 1 bottom, and then 1 in the middle. So 1 either side and then 1 in the middle. So I would make my way to the middle before picking up my next 5 seed beads and starting my 3rd little posy. So I think you get the idea. As I said, you can make it really higgledy-piggledy. You can make it quite uniform. You can use less colours. You can use more colours. But you'll finish with a little rainbow posy cuff that goes with absolutely everything in your wardrobe. It's the one benefit of rainbow jewellery. You can wear it with any outfit. So have some fun. Rainbows for hope and good fortune. If you've got any questions, pop them in the comments below and I'll answer them as quickly as possible. Thanks for watching. Bye.